So, Elis, I've got an anecdote.
Right.
Guess who I met this week?
David Mellor and Ken Livingstone.
No, we met David Mellor and Ken Livingstone on the stairs on the way in.
Yeah,
I
years ago.
always bump into David Mellor in Pret before coming to the show. And
What does he have?
he orders loads. I think he gets the stuff for the whole show.
Right.
And he comes in and he knows all the people there. So he goes, "Hello, Raquel. Hello, how are you doing on this fine day?" And then when Raquel goes back to prepare more croissants, he turns into the real David Mellor and goes, "Right, Dean, get me a cheese and tomato croissant. Do I look like I've got all day, you muppet? And a double espresso. No, I haven't had a nice day." Welcome back, Raquel. I'm having a lovely almond croissant. So if you want to catch the real Mellor, wait till Raquel. Anyway, I, this morning, for the second week in a row, bumped into David Mellor in Pret a Manger.
Oh, yes.
And it was classic Mellor. He turned up, saw the woman he knows. "Hello, Raquel. Yes, it would be my honour to be served by you this morning." She pops out to get some semi-skim milk. He's like, "Right, £1.75 for a cup of tea. Are you joking? Do you know who I am? You want to watch it, sunshine? Oh, Raquel, glory of my morning."
If you don't knock 10 pence off the price of that, I will not play Strauss on Classic FM.
You think I'm going to turn up to Ken Livingstone without a double-strength espresso? You've got to be mental. Classic Mellor. He's like a pit bull.
Right, you can forget your Rachmanikov. I'm just going to play Mozart, stuff I like.
It's very hard not to swear when doing that voice, isn't it?
I mean, I thought this one's going to come out. I swear one's going to come out. Oh, my God. Deacon Rose, the nation's second favourite deacon, is going to be angry with me.
FM, Ellis James and John Robbins podcast.
Scent and Skeleton by Royal Blood. You listen to us, James and John Robbins on XFM. And not only did John bump into David Mellor, but I bumped into Ken Livingstone on the stairs.
And you never know what to say, do you?
No, I ended up saying, "Hi, mate."
No, you went, "Cheers, mate," 'cause
Yeah.
you held the door.
Yeah.
You should just go, "Legend."
I wanted to say...
You should go, "Ledge," take your top off, and then just, like, fist bump your heart.
I wanted to say, "Hi, Ken. I actually went to watch you give a very interesting speech about Islamophobia 2 years ago." But I thought, now's not the time.
He didn't like that.
10 in the morning.
He didn't like that.
Maybe. I don't know. Oh, I should have said you had a fantastic moustache in the mid-80s.
He was also being followed out of the building by Mellor, so you'd have had to deal with... If you'd held Ken up, Mellor would have been like, "What you talking that muppet for? Come on, we got to get down Ladbrokes." That's what Mellor would
I'm playing badminton in an hour.
Oh, dear, dear, dear.
Now, time for Email of the Species. That was really bad. I shouldn't have said it. So, it's time for Email of the Species there, which I talked over our wonderful jingle. This is the part of the show where we read out your correspondence that you've sent in. And folks, obviously, we've had a heck of a lot of correspondence this week about friend of the show, Mr. David Mellor. Regular listeners will know that I often bump into Mr. Mellor in Pret of a morning before coming into the studio, and for a long time would recount stories of his passionate relationship with Raquel, the lady who worked there. She left and he started chatting to Bernard. I saw him this morning, and as I'm sure you'll all be aware if you've been reading the press, he looked a little bit dishevelled. He'd lost a bit of vim. There was a bit less spring in his step. He was talking to Nazim, and he was just like, "Nazim, I'll just have a latte and a pan of raisin." He was keeping very much to himself.
Raquel's not coming back, is she? Yeah, have you... I don't know, do you text each other? Are you friends? Is it friendly at Pret? Do you hang out? I mean, believe it or not, I was in the Queen's Council, and all the barristers would hang out. We'd have lunch, not in Pret. I mean, it was different. It was restaurants, but we all knew. Get me Raquel. Get me Raquel, Nazim.
In many ways, a lot of listeners have contacted the show to say that we predicted the week's events, and we had an email from Totti. Imagine being called Totti. I'm sure it's not the footballer. But she or he says, what a week for Mellor. Such a shame to see a giant of the political world cut down in his prime. Surely what we have witnessed over the course of this last week is the butterfly effect in action. One minor occurrence, in this instance Raquel's departure from Pret, set in motion a series of events that spiralled inexorably towards that fateful cab ride. A cab ride that will, no doubt, lead to years in the wilderness, perhaps our greatest contemporary political thinker, commentator, raconteur and award-winning radio broadcaster. Sad days indeed. I think you're bang right, Totty. I think had Raquel not taken that job abroad, then Mellor would still be riding high amongst the great and good of the political elite.
You know, I've looked into it. She's doing a TEFL course. She's teaching English in China. If only she decided to stay in London.
Well, she's gone to China. Do you know which part? I got contacts in China. I could probably get there for Thursday. Now, Elis James, a question I've always wanted to ask you. If you had to reel off your qualifications to a cab driver, what would you say?
A degree in modern history and politics, MA in history, some good gigs, XFM DJ.
Because friend of the show, David Mellor, justified his knowledge of London streets by describing himself as...
He said I've been a member of the cabinet, I'm a Queen's Counsel, and I'm
an award-winning broadcaster. I'd be like, mate, I completed the Pegasus night hike in Scouts. I have a collection of farthings. I've met Brian May. Do you think someone who's met Brian May doesn't know the quickest way to Whitechapel? Idiot. I think May would hang around with someone who doesn't have a basic knowledge of the city of London's quickest routes. So I'm completely on Mellor's side on this.
Yeah.
It's time for a rare treat. Every so often on this show, there's just there's an atmosphere in the air that something is brewing, that we're in line for a special occasion, because let's face it, every week I broadcast with one of the country's leading raconteurs. A man who can impress a dinner party with stories for up to 2 hours until they all just have to leave. So it's time for Sporadic Feature.
Elis James, anecdote and a punchline.
There's a glint in his eye, a spring in his step and a cramp in his hamstring.
Yeah, that's still happening.
Elis has got an anecdote, he's got a punchline. Hear us, El.
Well, it's hot off the press. I just had a wee. And the toilets at XFM, the gents, there's no urinal, it's 2 cubicles. So I was washing my hands, and both cubicles were full, and David Mellor walked in, and he saw that the cubicles were occupied, and he actually went, oh! Oh! And then he left, turned on his heels and left really angrily, and then 10 seconds later, Ken Livingstone opened the door with the most sheepish look on his face I've ever seen. And he went, oh. And I thought to myself, they're now such good friends, even though they're politically on different sides of the divide, because they're broadcasting partners, their bladders have clearly synchronised in the same way that the Spice Girls used to have go on their period at the same time, because they were spending so much time together. Mellor and Livingstone have got the same sort of bladder sort of timings.
Or, because Mellor picks up the coffees from Pret, maybe that they've both had their morning coffee at the same time, and they've had to take a link, sort of a commercial break to both go and, excuse themselves.
Excuse themselves. But Mellor's, the noise Mellor made.
Well, it's a frustration when you've got 2 minutes to nip out for a quick wee and all booths are occupied.
Yeah, and the next mayor of London is having a wee.
Yeah.
That is frustrating. But anyway, that's my anecdote with a punchline.
Great anecdote. Quite a good punchline.
Thank you. We had an email in from to Saturday at xfm.co.uk. We read our emails, we love them all, but somebody said, Elis has actually only got 5 anecdotes. We've heard them all twice.
Thanks. Chalk up a 6th. Big news this morning, El.
Oh, yeah?
I was in Pret, and we haven't had an update on this for probably 8 months.
Right.
I'm in Pret, in the queue, 2 tills available, quite a long queue. Mellor behind me, David Mellor, semi-disgraced Tory MP, broadcasts from this building, who I regularly see in Pret. So it's taken a while. let me just reiterate, 2 cashiers, 1 queue. Mellor, seeing a transaction on the left has come to an end, just goes straight in there. Pushing in front of me and another person.
Says it all, doesn't it?
And then just begins his order.
Absolutely disgusting. Did anyone have a word?
Well, the problem was he wasn't to be messed with, so he comes in, classic public face of Mellor. Hello, everyone. Hello, Abdul. Yes, just waiting here for my strong Americanos. Yes. And suddenly snips in down the left-hand side. Right, Abdul, I ain't some kind of muppet. I ain't waiting here in line for 3 superfruit bowls. So you sort it, right? Well, mention this to the management and I'll go to the press.
Give me a protein pot now!
I just stood there and I knew that we were going to walk in the front door here together. I was very tempted to time it, so I'll just push in front of him at the desk.
Yes.
Regular listeners and podcast devotees will know that I often bump into David Mellor, former Tory MP, in Pret-a-Manger before I come in. And Elis, this morning I've got an absolute humdinger of a queue-avoiding Mellor story. Because you know he jumped in front of the queue with me a few weeks ago.
Yes, yes.
He comes in, so we're all queuing up, and there's 2 people on the tills, and one of the workers is sort of filling up the sandwiches. So Mellor walks in and goes to the guy filling up the sandwiches, Alberto, my good man, what a pleasure to see you. I would like the honour of being served by you today. So Alberto puts down the tray of sandwiches and then goes to a till to give Mellor his personal concierge pret-a-manger and then serves him, leaving everybody else in the queue.
That is absolutely disgraceful.
But what a great trick.
Yeah, I mean, that is someone who's expected to be served first all his life, isn't it?
Yes,
that
absolutely.
Is the trick of someone who's
never paid for a pint at Lord's.
Absolutely not. It's that what's that sense of entitlement that some posh people have.
But what I love is the idea, because all of the it's a very multicultural staff at the local Pret-a-Manger. I think Alberto is probably Italian. There are a few Eastern European servers there. Someone would have had to explain to them why this man in a linen suit is sort of a big deal. So they'd have had to go, right, Albert, you'll get this guy, comes in about sort of, 9:30 every morning. He's got sort of a mullet, like they used to have in the 80s, and he will make quite a song and dance. He was an MP.
He was the victim of a sex scandal in the early 90s.
Yeah, he sucked a girl's toes.
Whilst wearing a Chelsea shirt.
Yeah.
When they were a rubbish, Division 2 team as well, sponsored by Commodore.
Because there's no way Alberto would have known him the first time he walked in.
Absolutely not.
So he would have kind of had to go...
On a very...
Alberto, my name is David Mellor. I was a famous Tory MP and I now have an LBC show with Ken Livingstone. In future, when I walk in, please treat me with the respect I deserve, and I may use quite a lot of pomp and circumstance about my entrance. Is that okay, old boy?
John, I've got exciting news for you, because producer Vin, he saw Mellor this morning, so...
Oh, hit me.
Yeah, hit quite a tale. We'll save it, mate. It's an epic.
It is epic. I mean, he's just the gifter that keeps on giving, David Mellor.
Gifter?
Yes, the gifter. John, I've got a surprise for you. I teased this in the opening link of the show, but Vin has had a run-in with David Mellor. So, Vin, take it away.
Well, I was coming in, obviously, a little bit early today, because we were sorting out getting you in from Edinburgh, John. And I found out the front door at Leicester Square here was shut. There's a bit of work going on, so we had to come in through the back. And I bumped into Mellor, first person I'd seen. Incredible. He had about 10 Pret bags, between his 2 hands. So we ended up going down. We took a wrong turn. We went down into the basement where all the deliveries are sort of made. And Mellor's sort of leading the way.
So many innuendos going through my head right now. You're in basements, you're in back doors, you're with the disgraced Tory MP.
Well, we took a few wrong turns and we were trying to get through a few back doors. There you go. Yeah. And he started to get so angry. There was a few locks we couldn't get through and a few fobs that his pass wouldn't get us through. He started swearing. It's half an hour in the morning. And
Mellorgate?
Yeah. I mean, they were bad. Yeah. They were the bad ones, the bad words. He called some of the guys that were doing the work. He started calling them dossers. I don't know what that is. I've not heard that before.
It's an early 80s Tory term for people on the dole. I mean, it's proper Mellor.
They were doing some
1983.
contracted work.
Yeah,
They're not on
exactly.
the dole.
You dossers!
I told him about 5 minutes later, so the sort of the aftermath. But wasn't he punching the
Well,
door?
he punched the door. He punched the door.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I'd been there to see
What was
it.
bizarre though, because you always talk about him being obviously very polite in public.
Yeah.
So once we did get in, he turned around and said, "Well, thanks very much." Good luck. Sort of had to go, "Cheers, mate," and waves and went the other way.
Have you seen that scene at the end of Raging Bull where Robert De Niro's really angry and he's punching the walls? That's what
Yes.
David Mellor was like. But then he turned up and was like,
Thank you. Oh, well, I suppose I'll be broadcasting now with Ken Livingstone. He's to the left and I'm to the right. Oh, dear, how will it ever work?
I think it's because the reason he was able to lose his temper and shout and call those workmen dossers is that he fancies the girl behind the counter in Pret, so he's nice to her. But
Right.
he doesn't fancy a sort of skinhead, sort of paint splattered sort of workman who's mending a door at night.
He called him a dosser to his face. And he
Really?
wasn't. I mean, the guy was not pleased, obviously.
But what do you do in that
Vin,
situation?
well, I'll tell you what you do in that situation, Vin. You turn voice memos on your iPhone, and then you play out a recording or sell it to the Sun like that cab driver did.
Oh God, it's like I love broadcasting. It's like broadcasting with Sherlock Holmes, but with added Hosier. This is Hosier. We're with you until 1. This is from Eden. You listen to Ellis James and John Robbins on XFM. It's time for
Radio X. X. Radio X.
That's right, folks. It's time for the part of the show where we read out your correspondence. You can send it all through to radiox.co.uk. We've got this from Dynamo in New York,
Oh yeah,
our New York stateside listeners.
I love that. I love the fact that we have a New York listener.
She says, I'll level with you fellas. I basically only listen to your show for David Mellor in Pret anecdotes, which, since the switch to Radio X, have been non-existent. Not useful for the new remit. Disturbingly, that airtime has been eaten up by 1,000% increase in mentions of your retrospective gentlemen's agreements. I did the math. That's fact. Does Mellor have his own Tony Blackburn-style autobiography you could be reading from Dynamo? Well, Dynamo, you'll be pleased to know that the last 2 times I've been to Radio X Towers, I have seen David Mellor rifling through the free CDs they get sent in the Classic FM offices. And he picks a time when no one else is in there. And he's going, they got new Beethoven. I'm going to snaffle it before anyone gets here. Oh, it's a nice new recording with a philharmonic.
Stress? I ain't stress! I'm not playing out on this!
And then someone walks in. David? Rosemary! Hello. Yes, just prepping for the show on Sunday night.
I remember when tea bags were round.
And then Rosemary leaves. He's like, right, I'm taking all down. I'm going to take down a car boat.
Handel, Mozart! Oh, it's all commercial rubbish on this station. I hate it.
Right, I actually saw him next to the. I saw him next to the. I saw him next to the photocopier as we walked to the studio.
He was going through the CDs.
and he was just going. He was making the noise I make when I lose on when it plays on. I just saw David Mellor, by the way.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, he held the door open for producer Dave.
And then slammed it in your face.
No, and then I thought, well, you know, in a spirit of in the spirit of the festive season, I thought I'll then hold the door open for him.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to have this sort of cooperation, sort of as part of the global network. And I went no, and he went no, go through. And I sort of felt like an idiot. I felt like a little child who'd been told off by the Speaker of the House or something. It was quite weird. But I think he was all right. Red face.
Really? Well, it's not cold outside. It's unseasonably mild.
Yes.
Maybe he was drunk. But he wasn't.
He wasn't. And it is unseasonably mild. I mean, any climate change deniers, it's 15 degrees. Get on with it. It's December.
Ellis is concerned for the global climate.
Yeah, absolutely. Only in the last 5 minutes or so, but it's really hit me. I think I hadn't really thought about it until sort of about 10 a.m. and now I'm worried. But
But anyway, Ellis, Mellor news.
oh yeah,
because regular listeners will know we come into the office at the same time as Mr. David Mellor, and I always bump into him in Pret.
Right.
So I was in Pret today, and there's a new assistant in Pret, Elis, who maybe doesn't know the sort of...
Doesn't realise that he served in Her Majesty's cabinet.
Exactly, not aware of the vibe.
Oh, what?
So Mellor's getting served by Anita, and he says hello to Raquel. So he's like, hello, Raquel. And Anita goes, oh, you regular, are you? And he went, yes. Oh, do you come in every day? Yes, I come in every Saturday and buy all the food for my radio show. And she goes, oh, do you do a radio show? Yes. And then he said, this strong Americano is for Ken Livingstone. And she went, oh, I like Ken Livingstone. Do you do a show with Ken Livingstone? Yes, Anita, I do. And then she said, He's very easy to like, isn't he, Ken Livingstone? And Mellor went, so am I. She said, people take to him, though, don't they? Yes, but he can be quite controversial.
I saw him last week, and he was wearing a new tweed jacket and pink cords.
Oh, lovely.
And I thought,
But then Anita left, and he went up to the manager. He's like, right, Armando, I'm David Mellor, and I do what I want. People got to know who I am. If this woman is ever here when I come in again, I'm going to cut you. Get rid of her! Get rid of her! Does she not know who I am? I'm a digital DJ and on FM.
I've got a lock up in Lambeth, right? Need I say more? Need I say more?
I'm just as likeable as Ken Livingstone, so shove that in your extra strong Americano.
And my politics isn't a politics of envy. It's a politics of being a right legend. You know what I mean? Capiche?